You know what, man?
So
I'm looking at our stats here on YouTube, and we've got some thumbs downs on some of our videos.
thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Like when you look at the ratio of likes to dislikes, they're not all 100%.
That's crazy.
Um, Episode 21, the love songs,
Yeah.
has a thumbs down, has four likes and one unlike.
Who thumbs down love?
Right? I
How
don't
could you
know.
give love a thumbs down? Come on.
I don't know, but well, this one's even more surprising. Episode 14, the trick or treat episode.
Oh, come on.
Three likes and one thumbs down. And okay, somebody must have been offended by episode 11 about Kiss's Spinal Tap moments. Somebody must have been mad that we called them out on some of their goofiness because that one got six likes and one thumbs down.
One thumbs down.
A
I bet
thumbs
I bet
down,
it was
right?
Mrs. St. Hubbins.
Who else could it have been? Who who could possibly be thumbs downing our videos?
Well, I'm glad you asked because it just so happens that the Rip and Destroy research and development team had been looking into this. And unfortunately, they haven't narrowed it down to the one culprit yet, but they got it down to 10. It's one of 10.
So we have a list of suspects, is what you're saying.
Absolutely correct.
Well, Mike, why don't you share with us the top 10 possible suspects who could be thumbs downing Rip and Destroy episodes?
Let's do this.
Starting with number 10.
Tipper Gore.
Wow, she's still around doing her thing?
Apparently, yes.
It could be. Okay. Number 9.
Reverend Shaw from the movie Footloose.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Uh-huh. Mm. Yeah, good call. Good call. Number 8.
Ringo Starr.
I'm not even gonna. Okay. Number 7.
Number seven, Statler and or Waldorf.
Oh, yeah, they've been known to do that. If
They're
if if
haters.
if it's one of them, we're lucky all we're getting is a thumbs down and not a vicious heckle.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Number 6.
Number six, hate to say it, Shandy.
Oh, all right. All right, Shandy. I see your game. Number 5.
Number five, and this is pretty likely, Hydrox Cookies.
I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, you do.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I see exactly where that's coming from. Number 4.
Surprised we didn't get a downvote on the Halloween episode because number four is Billy Corgan.
Smashing. Number 3.
Sir Paul McCartney.
Yes. Yes, yes, and it has nothing to do with Kiss. Number 2.
I didn't get a name on this one, but I happen to know for a fact that it's the cover guy from Unmasked. Apparently, the podcast stinks.
I still say they stink. I'm sorry, I like that guy. And the number one potential suspect who may be thumbs downing Rip and Destroy videos.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Vinny.
Effin.
Vincent. Hey there, welcome to episode 24 of the Rip and Destroy podcast. I'm Mike,
I'm TJ.
and after last time when we geeked out harder than any two people have ever geeked out on one album before, today we're going to go to the mystical magical land of VHS and take a little look at All Kiss's VHS output over the last few years. But before that, a little bit of housekeeping.
Yeah, well, specifically, we're going to look at their official releases. I'm sure we can spend episodes upon episodes about our days tape trading bootlegs, but yeah, we're going to look at the official Kiss VHS catalog. But before we do, just a couple housekeeping things and some things to talk about up front. First off, I just want to apologize for my voice. Last episode, I was in the middle of being sick. I was nasally. I was hard to understand. Sorry about that. I had my movie announcer voice, which I still have a little bit of, but sorry about that. That is actually the second episode that we have recorded when I felt like shit and sounded same. So hopefully I'm a little bit better by now. Other thing I just wanted to mention real quick that was that like 4 or 5 weeks ago, I was actually in Detroit Rock City for the first time in my life. I had never been to Detroit. My wife and I had stopped for a night in Ann Arbor, and then we hung out with a bunch of friends in Royal Oak. Some friends and I had some art in an art show in Detroit, so we hung out for the weekend, kind of up not too far from Flint, where our buddy Fido in Poway from Hey Man, Nice Kiss shirt hang out. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to run up there and crash their podcast. But yeah, so I didn't see a whole lot of Detroit, but it was interesting because the whole time all I could think of was, you know, I hope I don't see a truck ahead, lights staring at my eyes on the way into Detroit. So yeah, Detroit Rock City for the first time in my life. What do you have to talk about today, bud?
Well, just thinking about that, I hope Fido and Pauly make it to Vegas in September because that would be a lot of fun to hang
That'd
out.
be
And
great. Yeah.
well, the first thing I want to talk about is I got the coolest thing in the mail that you could ever imagine. If you're on Instagram, you probably got a little teaser for this. Coolest guy in the history of the world sent me Peter Chris's record. And
Who's that?
that's you, buddy.
Oh
And
shit, yeah, I
and
did.
and you gave me the choice between the white and the silver. And I thought, you know, you bought the records. I'm going to let you pick. But way down deep inside, I really wanted the silver. So,
I knew that because and you know what? I sent you the silver because number one, the silver was cooler, and you're a bigger Peter Chris fan than I am, so you should have the silver. I
oh,
kept the
thanks,
white
man.
one. Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Is the vinyl silver?
It's gray.
Nice.
And yours?
It's white.
Very cool. Very
Yeah,
cool.
very
And
pretty.
and I mentioned a few episodes back about the super cool artwork.
Hmm.
I really dig that. I'd love to see some t-shirts.
Yeah, that'd be
And
great.
the coolest thing about this whole experience for me, there was getting it in the mail, of course, but it's been a really long time since I had that old school experience of opening up a record and not having heard any of it. I heard
Hmm.
like a minute and a half of Creepy Crawlers, and that's it. So it was total old school experience to put it on the record player and just sit there and experience it all in real time. The first track, rock and roll, I'm like, mm. But I gotta say, in all honesty, every other cut on this record is something that I would revisit time and time again. I really love track two, In the Dark. And I'm like, good on you, Pete, man. This is a great record. He kind of took some lumps a couple episodes ago and we reviewed all of his solo career, but I think he's
Hmm.
finishing strong. And I think it's a damn good record. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's pretty solid. I honestly do not think that I'm going to listen to it a ton, but I definitely think it's a whole lot better than most of his solo output. And like you said when we were texting about it the other day, at 80, I mean, hell
Right?
yeah, way to go, Pete. Yeah, definitely. I'm proud of him for putting something new out after all this time and having it be strong. I appreciate a lot of the guest stars that are on it. You know,
Hmm.
John Five is great. Billy Sheehan has always been a bass monster. I've always liked that guy. So yeah, I think it's really cool.
You know who really shines on this record, though? Paul Schaefer. There's some re no, seriously, there's some really fun piano and keyboards on this record. I think he
Oh,
sounds great.
Paul.
Another thing too, something that was kind of unique is Peter's not using that gravelly old like rock and roll, old school rock and roll voice so much.
Not
He's
yeah,
using more of
his
his
old
natural voice.
raspy yeah,
Yeah.
his old raspy Baby Driver voice. Yeah, there's a little bit less of that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Artie Fufkin from Polymer Records advised him to clean it up a little bit. Yeah,
Damn good record though. Thank you very much.
you bet, man. My pleasure.
And what else is going on? Speaking of new music, there is a band called the Troops of Doom. I think some ex-Sepultura members put that together, and there's ex-Destruction members on there too. They just released a single of God of Thunder. It's a cover. And normally that wouldn't really catch my attention because I wasn't really into those bands, but they got Chuck Billy from Testament to sing on it. I'm like, well, damn, Chuck Billy singing God of Thunder. And it was he's doing some backup vocals. He doesn't do leads, and it was okay. It was okay. Do you have a chance to hear that one?
I did not actually looked for it recently, and all of the links from the Blabbermouth article that you had sent me no longer worked. And
Hmm.
they worked, but like when you went to Spotify, it said that that track was not available. When you went to YouTube or YouTube Music, it was not available. So I don't know if it was only up for a limited time or if Gene sent them a C and D already or what happened. But yeah, I would like to hear that because there are some thrash metal all stars in that band. One of the original guys from Sepultura, like I said, and Chuck Billy. Destruction's a killer band. So yeah, I would like to hear that. But I'll be honest, every time I've heard a cover of God of Thunder, no matter who does it, it's left me a little flat just because, I think it's really hard to top the original. When the that all-star supergroup with Rob Zombie and even Ace Frehley and
Hmm.
everybody did it at that Kiss tribute or Kiss whatever that was, the VH1 Honors or whatever that was. That was pretty good. When Death covered the song sometime in the '90s, as much as I liked them, it didn't really fit. So, I mean, it's always going to be hard to top the original, but at the same time, I'm willing to hear anybody try.
Right, right. I think I'll cut this out if I'm wrong, but I think White Zombie actually covered that too
I
back
think
in
you're
the
right.
day. And
Yeah.
it was slower, even slower than the original,
Mm.
and I wasn't a big fan of it. I kept my eye on the Rip and Destroy company credit cards this week because rumor has it something is going up for auction sometime soon that you might have your eye on.
Well, if we're not maxed out already, yeah, there's a possibility that I will be checking out that Julian's auction because one of Ace Frehley's 1975 Les Paul guitars is going up for auction, and it is projected to fetch between 400 and $600,000.
Typically when they project a price for something like that, I know when Kurt Cobain stuff went up for auction, it ends up going for far more than what they
Hmm.
project. I would not be surprised if that crept up towards $1 million, especially in light of, current events. And from the description, it kind of sounded like that was his number one. It talked about him using it in the studio and live. So,
Yeah,
damn.
I'm not an expert on every single one of the guitars that he used, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, is this the one that's on the cover of Alive? I don't know. Or is this the one that's, in some of those old promo videos from like, Rock and Roll All Night? Some of those, I have no idea. But it's cool. I know some of his guitars had gone up for auction years ago, when obviously when he was still around, and I don't think they fetched near as much as this one is projected to. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with it. But if I miss out on that and I still have 400 to 600,000 left on the the Rip and Destroy company credit card, what I could do is buy a few songs off Vinnie Vincent's Guitar Mageddon. Yes, folks, he's at it again.
Well, actually, late breaking news. But before I get to that, a little context. Rip and Destroy has changed the world in so many different ways. And every single example, we've made it better. Clearly, we made it better.
Clearly.
I'm not saying it, but people say it. People say we made it better. And one of the ways we made it better is we put this out into the universe. We called Vinny on the fact that this whole marketing scheme may not be in his best interest financially. And by
No.
that I mean charging thousands upon thousands of dollars for one song at a time. And it just so happens he compiled them all into one record. He did it.
Imagine that.
Good
He
job, Vinny.
did. Yeah, he did. He well, he we were half right because he did in fact compile them all back into one record.
Uh-huh.
But what he's not doing is selling it for a reasonable price because, obviously, I'm sure by now you have all heard that Vinny is now selling Guitar Mageddon for $2 million. But the catch is that there is only one available. That's right. What you are actually buying is the hard drives with the masters
Mm,
on them. So, and what you're actually allowed to do for your $2 million is release the album. So you are allowed to. These hard drives come with not only the audio information but also the cover art and all that. And you are also purchasing the rights to release the album in whichever format you want to, whether you want to put out CDs, vinyls, I guess individual CDs, individual vinyl records, whatever, like he was gonna do. Whatever you want to do, apparently you can do with Guitar Mageddon, as long as you give him $2 million. Or alternatively, you could also buy individual songs for $200,000 a piece, which, obviously, if you don't get Ace's guitar, you could buy two tree of Vinny songs and then release those as you see fit as well, which would be also hilarious if like 10 different people bought all the songs and just released them on different labels and just created a giant mess. But one thing that I noticed is that in the original like press release or announcement that he made was that there are only 10 songs listed. I don't know what
mm,
happened to this whole 1819 song thing, but there's only 10 songs now, and four of them are the songs that are on the Euphoria EP.
mm.
So like
So,
Full
so,
Shred, Get the Let Out, and whatever the other two were. So, and I mean, I know, Euphoria was supposed to be like the teaser for Guitar Mageddon like
mhm.
30 years ago. So it's so confusing because, on one hand, he's like, Guitar Mageddon, it's complete. And then, you know, half of it is songs that came out 30 years ago. And it's like, was it complete back then? Is it complete now? Or is it like I'm done trying to figure him out. But I don't know what a record label nowadays pays an artist for an album, but I don't think it's 2 million. unless you're Taylor Swift or more. I don't know, but certainly not if you're Vinny F. and Vincent. As usual, my crystal ball says that Vinny is not going to make another sale.
So you're saying he promised 18 songs and they haven't come through?
I
What?
mean,
Really? Huh? Uh,
imagine that.
So I heard that he compiled all the songs into one record and it sounded great. I'm like, okay, great idea. That's kind of what you should have done from the start. And then it was 2 million bucks. And it, it reminded me of the time Van Halen, right? Finally gets Dave back in the band. And they go on tour without Michael Anthony. I'm like, oh, you were so close. And I'm like,
Right.
Vinny, you're so close to sanity here, buddy. Put out the record. Oh,
You're so close to sanity.
but honestly, man, I'm still rooting for you. I am. True
Oh,
story.
man. Yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously, as always, we wish him the best, but good God, he's exhausting.
Well, before we jump into things, question: do you even have a VCR anymore?
Yeah,
Do you?
I
I,
do.
uh, I wouldn't be
I
surprised.
I do. I have a functioning VCR. It's actually right over here. I have a really nice functioning VCR too. I bought oh, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago or something. It's a JVC Super VHS, which is a step above VHS actually in quality and line resolution. So yes, I have a very nice VHS player still, and it does still work.
You know what else was a step above VHS? Beta.
True.
Beta was better. You just couldn't get, 6 hours on one tape.
Right.
I don't have a VCR, and it's not from lack of trying. I've been to Goodwill multiple times. I've tried to order one. I bought a couple that just didn't work, and
Mm.
I'm kind of really excited to get one because I have there's all these Kiss vids, of course, a lot of which are on YouTube and elsewhere. But there's my wedding, and then there's 2 volumes of Crusher videos that I haven't seen in years that you sent me compilations of like some of the craziest pro wrestling and Kiss clips that the world has ever seen. So I need to
Uh,
revisit those sooner than later.
Yeah, you say that as though you didn't start that trend because when I picked up my bin of Kiss VHS from my storage unit, which included my bootlegs and my official tapes, I did find 2 volumes of Beaker's Beatings compilation tapes that you made me that included some good pro wrestling footage and God knows what else.
Nuclear
So
Assault. I remember.
yes, yes, there's some good stuff on there, man. That was our love language back then, man, is instead of just mixtapes, man, we made mix VHS
Yeah, we did.
because
I
we were
still
we
got them.
were we were tape fiends
We
back in
were.
the day. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it was.
So let's jump into the Kiss official VHS collection as best we can. So probably chronologically, the first one we would want to talk about is Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. However, I
Kiss meets
still
the
say
Phantom of the Park.
that is Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. However, I do think that at some point we are going to do a whole episode on this movie. So, all I'm really going to say about this was that I think that was released in like a rental version in like a big clamshell, and then this version, which is on Good Times Home Video, if you all remember Good Times, the budget home video label, this was released to the public later on. It's got the great cover art too. So this was probably the first official Kiss home video release, but we're going to talk about Phantom at a later date, which means that our next, or actually first, Kiss video release we're going to talk about is probably going to be Animalized Live Uncensored. Do you have a copy of this or no?
I don't. I have a bootleg copy on the same
Okay.
tape as Trick or Treat and Pulp Fiction.
Oh, that's a good tape. I actually have 2 copies of this, but neither one of them is the standard American VHS release. I have this, which is actually the official Japanese release, which I oddly found in just like a used like media store, like in Appleton, Wisconsin, like 20 years ago or something. Don't know why they had it, but this is actually the official Japanese release of Animalized Live Uncensored. There's your label. For some reason,
Hmm.
the label is on like upside down on the end. I don't know why. And it's got like a face label, and Japanese VHS always came in these really nice clamshells too. And it also comes with a little insert that shows all the song titles on it, and I guess it's got some liner notes on it. Oh, it's got English lyrics. That's always fun on a Japanese release. So yeah, it's got some liner notes. I don't know what they all say, and yeah, some English lyrics like including "I Love It Loud," "Hey yeah, hey yeah,"
Mm.
stand stand up, utilize the weak thing. Get Down, Love is Like a Hurricane. 3-4, Going Down the Tube Again. Better believe it.
Oh, so apparently it's not so weak.
It is not so weak. So yes, anyways, yeah, Animalized Live Uncensored.
Uh,
Oh, and the other version that I have is the Laserdisc.
nice.
Look at that.
Ah, it's
I do
just
have it on
gorgeous.
Laserdisc, I know. And yes, I also do have a functioning Laserdisc player. So, yeah, let's talk about Animalized Live Uncensored. For a lot of us, this was one of the first things as young kids that we saw of Kiss live, really. Recorded, what, on the Animalized Tour 1984,
Mhm.
Cobo Hall, I think, in Detroit. I believe it was Bruce Kulick's first full live show with the band. I don't know if this was after there was a period where I think he and Mark St. John maybe bounced back and forth, or
Mhm.
Bruce did most of the shows and Mark would pop out once in a while when he was feeling good. I don't know, but I think I heard that this was actually his very first live show. So
I
if
hadn't
so,
heard that. Very
yeah,
cool.
I think so. But anyways, yeah, everybody knows this for being, a lot of great hits that they played in the 80s, stuff off Animalize, Lick It Up is on there, and everybody knows that they play it at about 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, they do.
Um, yeah, they were in this mid 80s phase where they were just playing everything balls to the wall, and it's a great show. They sound awesome on this show. They look good. Paul's stage raps are suitably cheesy, and everybody, I think, probably remembers it from being shown on MTV, I guess, in a slightly abridged version, which would make it Animalized Live censored. But yeah, that was one of those Saturday night MTV concerts that we all stayed up and looked forward to when we were kids. And yes, it was. I was very excited when Kiss Animalize showed up on MTV late at night.
And if you've only ever seen it on MTV, let me catch you up. Paul had to go to the doctor, right?
Oh God, here we go again.
He walks in. It just so happens that there was a nurse working. I'm
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
So
What
yeah,
episode? There was an episode where episode 12, we revisited that scenario. You can catch our George Lucas updated version there.
yep. I don't have much to add. I think you pretty much hit it. It's a great tour. They toured with Queensryche back in '84 on Animalize. Gene's wearing a great wig because he was doing movies, so he'd cut his hair at that point. Everything is really, really damn fast, and it
Mhm.
makes it fun. The Detroit crowd is just bananas. They're having a
Oh yeah.
blast. It's
Oh, there's my favorite kid in the crowd. They cut to a crowd shot, and there's that one kid that's doing this.
And one of my favorite things about this tour and this video is Eric Carr doing lead vocals on Young and Wasted,
Yeah,
which is also really fast. And
yeah.
he starts it off fast and he sings it and just plays the hell out of it. It's very, very cool. And the first time I saw this, 1985, fifth grade, that was a pivotal year in my Kiss fandom. I bring it up a lot. I rented this from the video store, brought it home, and I wrote a paper on it for my, my fifth grade class. And I remember it very well. I don't still have it, unfortunately, but I got an A on the paper despite the fact that I mentioned Detroit City Rock. I think my teacher probably should have dinged me at least half a grade for that instead of
Oh,
Detroit Rock City.
yeah.
But yeah, I wrote a paper on this one in fifth grade.
That's great.
Yep.
Oh man, I love that. Yeah, I wish you still had that.
Well, I
Um,
wish we had more to say about this one because I think we're talking about Exposed next. Is that right?
yeah, I believe so. And
Ugh.
yeah, well, I think what we should probably preface that by saying that neither of us actually owns a copy of this,
Nope.
so that tells you how much we love that.
Never did.
No, no, I never did either. I wanted it when it came out. So yeah, this came out 86, I believe. It was in between
Hmm.
Asylum and Crazy Nights. So they did not release an album in 86, but they did release the Kiss Exposed home video. Man, how do you describe this? It's kind of a mockumentary, I guess. Kind of a
Yes.
fake interview. They play it off like there's a TV crew visiting Paul's house and they're going to interview the guys about their wacky and wild rock and roll lifestyle. What's really funny is that they talk, they make jokes in the video about having a script, but clearly this thing barely had a script. It's really awkward and man, more awkward than an episode of Rip and Destroy, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's advertised as being disgusting and titillating, and they were half right. They were half
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
It was straight up disgusting. It was that era, but that doesn't justify anything. It's
no.
kind of it's supposed to be a behind the scenes look at Kiss, who all live in the same mansion with about 75 roommates, who I'm sure we'll get to. You
Uh,
know, there's Carol,
Carol. Also
Cindy,
Carol,
Carol, and
uh,
and Carol.
and the other Carol.
Yeah, there's is there anything redeeming on this? There's a couple things, but it's just not worth it. There's the uncensored version of Who Wants to Be Lonely. There's a little bit of Rio footage and a little bit of archive footage, but yeah, not worth it.
It's very obviously fake. It's very obviously set up. There's a part where they go through like an attic and they're like, "Oh, here's all this old like memorabilia and shit," and which is kind of cool because obviously they hauled a bunch of shit out of their warehouse, or maybe it actually is Paul's attic. I don't know what kind of facilities they had in '86. But they're showing like some like the marionettes that like some fans made or whatever. They're playing with the Ace Frehley marionette, and there's some old guitars and some old posters and all that kind of stuff, and that's kind of cool. But like I said, it's very set up. There is some old footage on here, some a lot of vintage live footage, which is kind of cool. But otherwise, yeah, the little skits that they do, it seems like there's kind of almost two modes of interview. Like some of them are super fake, where they're putting on like an act, and then there's kind of the parts where they sit down with Paul and Gene, and they're kind of genuinely answering questions, which is probably the best part of it because they're kind of
Mhm.
talking about, they're kind of talking about Peter playing in like mafia clubs and stuff like that, which is kind of funny, and like those segments seem fairly genuine, but the whole thing is just a big fake put on. This was kind of like a thing too in the 80s where like rock stars, especially in the MTV era, they were trying to show how wacky and funny they were, and
Mhm.
I don't it just didn't just as Frank Zappa said, just shut up and play your guitar. um
Yeah.
I will say this and actually several of the other videos, man, I know we bring this up occasionally, especially in something like episode 12 or occasionally throughout the other some of the other episodes. But man, I don't know how we grew up on some of this stuff and watched so much of these Kiss videos and still came out with like a positive attitude towards women. Like, because there is so much fucking misogyny in these videos, man. And what I'm really curious about, and I mean, I know it's some of it's all in fun, and that's I guess. I mean, I don't really, that's not an excuse, but it's this is going to be a hard question to answer because almost 100% of our viewership is middle-aged men. I really sometimes want to know what female Kiss fans think of some of this old stuff. Like, are they laughing it off? Is it funny to them? Is it offensive? Because even I, as a guy, who's got, a daughter and, a wife, like, I find this stuff like super offensive, even though, Kiss are my guys. I mean, some of the ways that they treat women, again, it's all in kind of a joking manner, but at the same time, it's like they're trying to show off how cool they are by, like the dude said, they treat objects like women, man.
It is a misogynistic dumpster fire, if
Yeah.
there ever was one. It's nonstop. It's egregious. It's over the top. I don't know what the female Kiss fan demographic would say about it, but I know what the female demographic would say about it because, of course, out of all the videos we watched for this one, this just happened to be the one that my wife watched with me.
Mm.
And it was like, I wish there was a like a director's commentary version of my wife watching this because it was
Oh
hilarious.
God, I do too.
A couple things that stood out. One was just they should have been canceled. And then it wrapped up, the credits came up, and she said, F, which I loved. And I don't think the misogyny was just put on for the cameras for the video, because I remember reading in Paul's book, there was the one scene when he's in bed getting interviewed, and there's like six women around him.
Mhm.
And he describes how they had women set aside for that, and he had to pull the director aside and say something like, they're just not hot enough. And I think they had to go find different women to do that
Ugh.
scene. I'm like, for the
Yep.
love. But going back to the attic scene, which was quite cool, them going through a lot of the artifacts and the historic memorabilia. One thing that was hilarious is they have the really cool marionette of Ace, hanging there.
Mhm.
And Gene says, here's a doll of Ace that a Japanese fan made in 77. And it's the
Right.
Dynasty costume, right?
I caught that too. Yeah.
And of course, the codpiece. The codpiece got
That's
some
right.
love in this one. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. There was some attention paid to the cod piece. That might get half a point from us just because the cod piece running joke lives. One other thing that was always hilarious to me about Exposed, even way back when it came out, man, when I was a kid, I noticed this and I still laugh about it. If you look at the cover of the video, poor Eric and Bruce are like, I'm not even gonna say photoshopped in. They're like literally like photos cut out with scissors and like rubber cemented into place. Like if you look at that cover, it's Gene and Paul and all the girls, and then like Bruce is kind of like stuck in the background. His head is kind of popping out, and then Eric is kind of popping out at a weird angle, and like he's got no legs, and the lighting is different on them. It's like so obviously like cut and pasted. Those guys were not there for the photo shoot. People make fun of the Lick It Up cover th saying that Vinny's head might have been airbrushed onto a mannequin. That's not even nearly as bad as the cover of Exposed. If you look at that cover, it's so funny how pasted in Bruce and Eric were on that cover.
Yeah, and also on Lick It Up, it looks like Gene's hand is really big.
I
But we
want to
did,
dispute that.
do you?
I want to
You
dispute
pushed
that.
back last time, and I looked at it again. I'm like, it looks like his hand is about, you know, 2 feet
Okay,
long.
okay, I'm going to show you something.
It
If I
looks like
cross
your hand,
my
it looks like it's
if
two
I
feet long.
cross my arms, you can see the heel of my hand down here and my fingertips up here. Okay?
You know what?
I do have big hands, but you know what? That's a good thing.
All
But
right,
I'm just saying, I've always heard people talk about the weird hand on there, but I don't I think it's legit.
disproven right here on Rip and Destroy.
There you go.
But I got,
We're givers.
but I do remember in Rip and Destroy, we called out the fact that it was cut and paste because
We
it's
did.
just so obvious.
We did.
And you know what that means, right? It
What's
means
that?
that Gene was there, Paul was there, 75 women were there,
Uh-huh.
the six other women that were like Team B, they were there. And like, did you invite Eric and Bruce? I thought you were gonna invite them. Wait, did, guess who didn't get invited to the party?
Oh,
Oh, sorry
oh.
guys.
Yeah. Well, they're barely in the video either, so
Yeah.
they're probably there for I think they're probably there for about 2 hours.
Yeah, yeah. Bruce is running down the stairs, chasing a woman that he wants to get away from.
No, that he
And
wants edited out of the video.
right, right.
Yeah.
And then Eric is getting, no, Eric is chasing, doing the chasing. Yeah. Well, there you
Something
go.
like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then later on, they're taking the chimp to the beach. So
Sonny Crockett.
there's a motherfucking chimp in this damn thing. That should tell you everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But the other thing I was going to mention that is that there was going to be an exposed two. I don't know if you know about this, but there was a planned sequel to Kiss Exposed. There was going to be an Exposed 2. It was supposed to happen right around well, they started filming like behind the scenes footage around the Hot in the Shade tour, I believe. And that was supposed to end up being used somehow as Exposed 2. If you look on YouTube, there's probably about 4 hours or so of like raw footage that allegedly was supposed to be used for Exposed 2. I also came across an ad, like a solicitation, like a video, like a one sheet, like an ad, like we used to get when I worked at Media Play in Suncoast. There was a write up of what was supposed to be on this Exposed 2 tape on this ad sheet, and it sounded a whole lot like what ended up being our next video, which is Extreme Close Up. So there is, like I said, all the raw footage from Exposed 2 supposedly on YouTube, and I think we're probably going to check that out and maybe report back and do an episode on the Lost Exposed 2.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah,
I also like Extreme Close Up. I like it a lot.
same. Yeah, that was a really good one. I watched this one a lot when it came out. Shall we?
We shall. There's yours.
There's yours.
There's mine.
All right, beautiful. Yeah, this is a cool video. Mostly like an interview with the Revenge lineup, interspersed with all kinds of historical footage and music videos. It starts off with the Unholy video, and then goes, winds back into Sure Know Something. Then Watching You from Winterland '75, and some excerpts from the mid '70s. And yeah, this is a really cool one. They kind of go through the whole timeline of history, and yeah, it's this one's a pretty solid video.
This is great. I love it. I remember you and I watched it multiple times. It's the interview that you wanted to see on Exposed, and I remember it being kind of one of the first times where they sat down and they really addressed some things that they hadn't gone into before, like Ace leaving. It was really hard back then to get them to talk about Vinny, for example, and
Hmm.
they go into that here. And it's the 92 lineup, and that whole era is something I'm a huge fan of, so that's cool. And you have the Unholy video, like you said. and just a ton of archival footage. And no YouTube back then, so it was a big deal to get all of these tapes because even if it was concentrating on, 85, 86, whatever the case, there was always, a good chunk of archive footage and, 75, 76 clips right in the middle. So this is definitely worth picking up. You can stream this online. It's not on YouTube, but if you Google it, you can find it or, check out eBay. Definitely worth checking out.
Yep, yeah, like you said, I think this is what we all wanted exposed to be. But a few years later, we got extreme close-up.
It's the mulligan. It's the mulligan. Take two.
Yep. And I don't know if you knew, but Extreme Close-Up was made available on DVD as a double feature with our next video, which is Kiss Confidential. Scene Meow. So, and Kiss Confidential is basically a video version of a Live 3. Taped on the Revenge tour. Pretty much it's the exact same recording, like audio recording as a Live 3, meaning it's cleaned up and maybe a little bit overdubbed, but you didn't hear that from me. And this is also interspersed with some kind of interview footage, a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, a few vintage clips as well. So what's unique about this is that unlike a Live 3, I Was Made for Loving You is not on this performance, which I believe is because they did that one in the studio, not they didn't do that one live. But you do get Take It Off on this video, which was, I believe, not on a Live 3, if I remember right.
It's not.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yep.
So yes, this is kind of a slightly altered version of a Live 3 on video. It looks cool. The video footage is good. The interview footage and some of the behind the scenes stuff leaves a bit to be desired because I feel like they backtracked a little bit into exposed territory with some of the ways they talk and some of the ways they're treating some of the girls and yeah, not a fan of that. But if you just cut all that out and stick to the live footage, it's pretty cool.
The live footage is great. It's fantastic. Again, I love the lineup. I love the era. I love the set list for this tour. And if you're a fan of a Live 3, it's really fun to see it, on video. And it does have some old tracks, like I was saying. You have, let's see, 100,000 Years from Detroit 76, Nothing to Lose, San Francisco 75, Hotter Than Hell, Detroit 76, and Let Me Go Rock and Roll from Japan 77.
Your
And
favorite.
yeah, my favorite. But I'd also recommend if you're gonna watch this, check out the Kiss Alive 3 Detroit bootleg. It's actually the concert that Alive 3 was recorded at, and
Mhm.
it's really fun to cross-reference and see what made the cut and what didn't. And I was shocked to see how little actually made the cut from the real concert.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Which, I mean, at this point, that's to be expected. But yeah, both are very much worth watching because overdubbed or not, they were playing great on that tour.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
And
um,
it's hard to, find fault in this one, with the exception of the backstage footage, of course. But for me, it was kind of like rewatching Second Coming because the era was just so solid that there's not a lot to make fun of.
yeah. Although I will say, speaking of Second Coming, I think there was a little bit of foreshadowing in this one because, there's that segment where Bruce complains about Gene getting peanut butter in the cream cheese.
Ah,
And I'm pretty
ooh,
sure
ooh.
if we trace it back, pretty sure that's why they kicked Bruce and Eric out of the band and reformed with Ace and Peter. I'm just saying. Pretty sure the whole cream cheese peanut butter incident is what sealed the deal for Bruce. Sorry to say.
The truth, it's been exposed.
I'm kidding. But I think that part's actually hilarious because he's like complaining about like Gene getting peanut butter and the cream cheese, and Gene looks like genuinely annoyed that he's being called out on being a slob.
Well, Bruce wasn't the first one to say it, but I can't help thinking that wouldn't be all that bad. Now I have to try it. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
try it.
actually, I mean, yeah, we'll call that the Gene special, I guess.
I think there's also some foreshadowing on the unplugged video too, but we'll get to that in a minute.
So I believe what came next was a really interesting video that it was a companion piece to an album, but it didn't have a whole lot to do with the album, and that was the Kiss My Ass video. As we turn around and retrieve them from our shelves,
Got yours?
got
There's
mine.
mine.
Nice. I remember watching this a lot with you back in the day because this is primarily just a collection of old footage, old clips, old songs from quite well known what ended up being circulated in bootleg circles. And I'm going to say that about this, and actually pretty much all of the Kiss home videos, all of the vintage and archival footage on these videos for the most part is from shows that were pretty widely circulated on the bootleg circuit. So if you were a tape trader back then, like a lot of this stuff was, you know, old news to you. But for us, like a lot of these came up before we kind of got into the tape trading thing, and this was kind of our gateway drug, I think, into a lot of them because we would see one clip on Kiss My Ass of, Do You Love Me? And we're like, we want to see that whole show, of course, or the black and white Winterland footage. We want to see that whole thing. And yeah, these were definitely, I think, the gateway drugs to us getting into the tape trading scene and finding all those bootlegs that everybody likes to watch. But as far as this one, they do talk a little bit about the Kiss My Ass tribute album. They do have She by Anthrax and Christine
Christine.
16, yeah, by the Gin Blossoms are on this. But the rest of it is all old footage. And they talk about the History book and kind of what was going on with the kind of vintage Kiss renaissance that kind of started around this 94, 95 period.
Yeah, this was fantastic. This was easily one of my favorites. It's all archive footage, like you said, and even with Take Me, they show some rehearsal footage, which
Yeah.
is really very, very cool. And when you and I were working at the radio station, the record company sent us this enormous subway poster with the cover art. And if you remember, the cover art was really
Uh-huh.
cool.
Yep.
And so I had a on-air trivia contest that accidentally did not make it on air, and it just so happened you won it.
I have to correct you because it was not an on-air trivia contest. It was actually interview questions for the next radio station manager. Do you remember that?
I don't.
We were supposed to find well it was I think tasked to you because you were the station manager to interview I think it was all the managers. There was a number of managers, I believe, wasn't there? There was like a few of them. And
There was different job titles like news
yeah,
director and
yeah, but you guys were on your way out, and so Theta was trying to determine who was going to be next, and whoever wanted to be next had to go through a little bit of an interview process. I didn't want to do it, so I was not actually being interviewed, but you asked me the questions, and your questions were the best questions because they're all about how much do you know about music.
okay.
And I remember at least some of the questions. And
Really?
you told yes, and you told me that if I got the questions right, that you would give me that Kiss My Ass poster.
There was no way in hell you were not going to get that poster. I mean,
Right,
honestly.
even if I got them wrong, but I didn't because I know one of them was what was Nirvana's first album.
Okay.
It was Bleach, of course. I knew that because you were expecting everybody to say Nevermind
Exactly.
because you were trying to swerve everybody. And I don't remember what some of the other questions were, but I remember that one. And you also said, name two members of the original Black Sabbath.
Ooh, good question.
And my answer was Geezer Butler and Bill Ward. I didn't even
Nice.
go for the obvious ones.
Damn, you should have got two posters.
Well, we only had the one, but yes, I did get that Kiss My Ass Subway poster from you. Thank you very much, friend. I probably still have it somewhere. I don't know where.
I just assumed you lost it in one of the floods in your basement.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But speaking of not losing things, does your Kiss My Ass tape still have this in it?
Ooh, you know what? It does not. You want to know why?
Did you use it?
I used it.
Aha. I don't know where I ordered mine from, but the order form, the Kistery order form, in case you couldn't catch that, everybody, this is the order form for Kistery, the original Kistery book. So as we continued to ride that wave of Kiss nostalgia that happened in the mid 90s, that led pretty much into the Kiss conventions, the official Kiss convention tour, which then led into, well, Kiss Unplugged.
Which I would say is easily one of the top five biggest moments in history.
Oh, absolutely.
That was huge. It was
Yeah.
huge.
As we get out our copies, present. All
Cheers.
right. I remember watching this on Halloween 1995 as it happened on MTV, and man, yeah, that was huge because not only did you have the Revenge lineup coming out and playing, they brought out Ace and Peter for the first time, and then they brought Eric and Bruce back out, and you had six members of Kiss playing what did they do? Nothing to Lose and Rock and Roll All Night. Oh my God, this was great. And as far as just an MTV Unplugged performance goes, this was one of the best. It was one of the most epic. Of course, one of the biggest Unplugged stage shows, kind of as it were. They had some of the mannequins from the Kiss convention that they had used earlier. They had the big logo. They're on a giant rock and roll over rug. That was the coolest. I want that in my house. But yeah, this was a fantastic performance. As they showed on the convention tour and then subsequently here on Unplugged, it was kind of surprising how well some of the Kiss songs really translate into acoustic, and they played some really cool deep cuts. I mean, they did World Without Heroes. They did do Rock Bottom, which I know you're a favorite, you're a huge fan of, and they did See You Tonight off of Gene's solo album, which is a
Right.
very Beatlesy song, but it was very cool to hear them just pull that one out and do that unplugged. And yeah, every time I look at you, 2000 Man, yeah, some great stuff here that really translated really well into the acoustic styles.
And they sounded great too because they had just done the whole convention tour. So they were playing a lot of deep cuts. The convention in '95, they were taking requests, so they were playing different things and really gelling together as an
Hmm.
acoustic band. And Bruce just absolutely kills it, nailing some of those
Hmm.
solos, especially one of the solos from Revenge. Revenge has incredible solos, but he's doing them now on acoustic, which is really cool. And the first song that they showed of the reunion was 2000 Man. I thought that was pretty amazing too, to have Ace sing and lead, and a song that they did live back in the day, but isn't really known to be a staple. But I thought that was really cool. So the big question is, before you watched it on Halloween, did you know that the reunion was happening?
Yes, and it's really interesting how I found out. And I don't know if I ever told you this or if you remember what I'm about to say. So I had a buddy. So this was 95. This is way before, well, maybe not way before, but this is right around the time that the internet was coming to people's houses. Like a lot of, I was aware of the internet through like college, you go to a computer lab and get online. But I had a buddy whose computer was online. This was so early in the internet that it wasn't even like a graphic browser.
Mm,
Okay, I was not pointing and clicking. This was a text browser. Like so instead of pulling up images, you just had the alt text that said, okay, here's an image of, this Kiss album cover or something. And it was entirely text. And I went on a Kiss website. It was so early, 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 early. I don't know if it was just a news site or a news forum or exactly what it was, but I think it was called Fried Alive. And they said that Ace and Peter showed up at the Unplugged taping, and I lost my shit
mm.
because obviously it was so early in the internet that I hadn't even become cynical yet and said, "Oh, you can't believe everything that you read on the internet." Because who was I to say anything different? But yes, I actually heard about this on the internet way before I even had the internet. But yeah, I did hear that Ace and Peter showed up at the Unplugged, and I could not wait for it to come out.
I don't know if I knew or not. I think I had heard because I didn't watch it on Halloween because I don't think I had cable
Hmm.
back then. But I mentioned some foreshadowing in this one too. When Ace and Peter first walk out, it just so happens that one guy who unfortunately is front row right in front of Bruce says reunion tour. He says it loud enough to get on camera, and there it was. And we know that Paul is, he's taken advice from the car wash guy, so he may have taken some advice from this guy as well. And I'm glad he did because we got the reunion tour out of that. And again, as far as an accompaniment piece goes, I would encourage you to also check out the bootleg version of this. It's like 3 hours. A
Hmm.
lot of it is them, screwing up time and again. It's Gene trying to nail the intro to Domino. But there's some really cool stuff that didn't make the cut, like Heaven's on Fire, Spit, Come On and Love Me, and God of Thunder, the country version of God of Thunder.
Yeah, you can't forget the country version of God of Thunder.
But as far as the stuff that did make the cut, my standout cuts, same as yours. Of course, Rock Bottom, Going Blind is absolutely amazing acoustic, and
Hmm.
that was one that they did every night during the convention. See You Tonight, amazing. It became one of my favorite songs just because of the unplugged version. And like you said, World Without Heroes, not only is it really cool acoustic, but when was the last time you saw them do anything from Elder live, especially on something that was going to be released? So that was great. And I don't know if
Oh,
you
it would have
remember
been
this, but
it would have been Fridays.
that's right. That's right.
That was the last time they would have done that live.
And I don't know if you remember this, but I was over at your place and you said that there was somebody who worked at WAPL was having a garage sale. Do you remember that?
No.
We walked to the garage sale and that's where I got this for like $5. So he probably
Oh,
got it for free at the radio station and I got a deal out of it too. So
nice, man.
yeah, good times.
I don't remember that, but good for you.
And the next thing on the list is Second Coming. It was a two VHS set, and I love this one so much. We honestly considered not talking about it today. We were going to hold off and give it its own episode because it's that damn good. So if you haven't seen it, get up on it. You got to watch this one.
Yeah, was a double VHS. It actually came packaged. I remember it came shrink wrapped like this with the two tapes next to each other, which create kind of a panoramic, a double view. And so does the back. If you line them up, there's a big stage. The classic big bombastic explosive Kiss stage, which is a pretty cool package. Yeah, we could maybe save this for its own episode because it is two tapes. This is just an incredible behind the scenes account of how the reunion tour started, happened, got back together. They do talk about the conventions and then the unplugged, and then getting together with Ace and Peter for rehearsals and showing up at the Grammys. I mean, all of that stuff is in here. They talk about all of it. Ace, Peter, Gene, and Paul are all in the interviews. There's a lot of funny behind the scenes stuff, a lot of footage of them doing photo shoots, footage of them screwing around backstage, and it's so much more genuine, it seems, than confidential, honestly. Like
Right.
it doesn't seem as set up, and it's great. And then it culminates at Tiger Stadium, and after this we're off to the races. So yeah, Second Coming, super highly recommended. This one also did get released on DVD. But yeah, I think we might have to do a deep dive into this one and give it its own episode because this one is really, really good. I watched this one a lot.
It's fantastic. It is on YouTube if you want to catch up. And they call it the rebirth of rock's most incredible band. It's just that it's like a historical documentary of a really amazing era in history, but it starts even before Wicked Lester. And they kind of do a real quick run through to get you up to, where they are in 96. But the stuff you're talking about was the stuff that to me was just absolutely incredible. It was a lot of things that you've seen, right? You've seen the Grammys, you've seen the pictures, you've seen like the tour book has some really amazing pictures in it. But now you're seeing the photo shoot, and now you're seeing them backstage before they walked out during the Grammys.
Hmm.
You're seeing them sit there and for the very first time put the makeup back on. And you're seeing them like try on the new outfits
Hmm.
in somebody's living room, which is absolutely incredible. But by far the coolest thing on this documentary is the rehearsal footage. And I think they start filming it from the very first time they got together. So what you're seeing is the original four, all clothes, just street clothes, and knocking out these songs for the very first time and trying to work through them, and they're correcting each other, but they still sound absolutely kick ass. And to me, that was the coolest is watching the rehearsal stuff.
Yeah, it's very cool because you see kind of Pete walking in for the first time, and Ace, and they're all kind of a little bit apprehensive, and you can really kind of see that coming through in some of their body language. And then yeah, they're working things out and they're figuring things out and they're getting it wrong and they're correcting each other. And yeah, it's just fascinating. And it was an amazing time for us as the Kiss fans of the age that we are. We did get a couple of comments actually on our episode 3 about the reunion tour. See, this was Jules Cundiff 8102. He saw them in Donington 96, Birmingham, Manchester, and Finsbury Park, the last outdoor show in London. Having seen them in the 70s onwards, it wasn't quite that, but ye gods, it was close. So I understand that it probably wasn't the same as it was in 77. And then we also had a comment on the same episode from Tom's 4442. He said 96, 97 was close to the magic of 77, 78, but you can't go back home and live with mom and dad as an adult and expect it to be the same. So we understand that it wasn't quite the same. I mean, we have seen the bootlegs. We
Yeah,
get that it wasn't the same, but for those of us who weren't there the first time, man, it was as good as it's going to get.
right. I'm going to rabbit trail for a second if I could,
Yeah.
because of those comments. Something I've been thinking about lately. I want to get your opinion. Recently, David Lee Roth announced some new tour dates. So when something like that happens, I get curious. I'm like, what's he doing now? So I watched some of the footage on YouTube, right? And it's kind of interesting. He's got like four or five backup singers helping him out. And
Mhm.
I don't know how old Dave is, but he's got to be 70s at this point. And the comments kind of completely eviscerated him. He doesn't
Yeah.
have the voice he used to have. He's not
Hmm.
doing the splits. I mean, this is not David Lee Roth of 1978. This has been
Right.
altogether different experience. But that's as good as it's going to get at this point. And I'm thinking about all the bands that I loved growing up that I can't go see anymore.
Hmm.
And it gets fewer and fewer every single year. So if you're a Van Halen fan, you're not going to see the show that you saw when you were in high school, but damn it, that's David Lee Roth. Go see it. And when tickets are too expensive, buy them anyways. Because at this point, why not? Support Dave, go have a great time, listen to some great music, and just see it for what it is.
Right.
Because, it's few and far between as far as, the music we grew up really loving. And speaking of loving it, man, one of the things I really dug about this video is you could tell that they were having a great time. It was early enough in the tour where they were all on board, they were working hard, they were working together, and they were having a blast because they're experiencing all this again for the first time in 20 years. It stood out to me the dynamic between Gene and Peter, which is something that I hadn't really thought about before, or hadn't seen too much of, and the way that they got along with each other was really interesting. I love the backstage footage of Madison Square Garden because they did 4 nights at Madison Square Garden on that tour. And even that late in their career, having played there countless times, I'm sure, this was special. You could tell it was special to them. Super cool seeing Doc's little, pep talks before they go out on stage.
Hmm.
That was really great. But the most amazing thing next to the rehearsal footage for me was when they played in Japan. And I guess on January 22nd of 97, when they played in Osaka, Gene lost his voice, and Paul had to sing all of Gene's songs. And I need to know, because I haven't had time to research this yet, if there are any bootlegs of that show in particular or
Oh,
any footage on YouTube, because I'd love to see that.
yeah. I have no idea. I that was not something that was on my radar. So yeah, I think we need to dig down that rabbit hole a little bit. All right. So as far as official Kiss releases go on VHS, that is just about the end of them. One that we didn't mention really was the Crazy Nights video. They did release a home video that just had like a few videos from Crazy Nights on it. I don't know, with Reason to Live and Crazy Nights and whatever else they did. That one's not. I personally I don't think that one is worth talking about because it's just a little video compilation. The last one that we have is again kind of similar, but also kind of cool. They did release the Psycho Circus 3D video, which is just all it is the 3D music video for Psycho Circus that they did which is extraordinarily kind of cheesy. It did come with 3D glasses, which kind of sort of not really work, and the video, which is surprisingly kind of low production quality even for its time. But I just for the sake of completion and because I had this actually on my shelf, I just wanted to mention it. It did the best thing about this video, though. I don't have it in the package because it's on my CD shelf. It did come with a CD single of Psycho Circus and I guess you would call it a B-side of In Your Face, which was
Mm.
not on the Psycho Circus record. It was a song written by Gene and sung by Ace, and it's a great song. It should have been on the record, but that was available on this package. So just a quick mention of the Crazy Nights video, Psycho Circus video. And with that, I think we have come to the end of the VHS era. Kiss obviously did release more home videos on DVD. We're talking about obviously Alive 4, Rock the Nation, Kiss Rocks Vegas, and of course the Kissology series of multi-disc collections, which I think some fans are probably still clamoring for Volume 4, and I don't think that's ever coming out, guys. But since we are limiting our talk to VHS, I think that is just about the end of this episode. So, with us wrapping up episode 24 here, I just want to mention that our next episode is not only our 25th episode, it is going to be our first anniversary episode. That's right. Our April 15th episode is going to be our very first anniversary. We've been doing this for a year, man. Can you believe that?
It's gone by fast, but I'm having a blast.
Yeah,
First of
same
many.
here. Yeah, we are not going to tell you what this episode is going to be about. However, all I'm going to say is that I personally have a lot of surprises in store, and you guys are going to like this. You, Mike, are going to like this. And drop us a line at ripanddestroypodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram at ripanddestroypodcast. And got anything left to wind up the era of tape, my friend?
Please be kind, rewind. Cheers.
Kill the power, Phil. Kill the power.